Hi, my name is Ashley Bugby, and this is my Module 7 for EDL 951. This is a presentation that I could give to my board over cyberbullying, our current policies, and some things that I think we should do to address cyberbullying in general. So today we're going to discuss we're defining bullying. We're looking at our Board of Education current policy along with our student handbook policy over bullying and harassment. I would like to provide you with some information and some studies done over cyberbullying specifically, along with some updates that I think would be beneficial for our policy and possibly some interventions that our district would benefit from as well in the context of cyberbullying. So defining bullying, it is an aggressive behavior in the context of power balance that can or has been repeated. So this is somebody asserting their dominance aggressively or harmfully over somebody else. This can be verbally, emotionally, cyber or digitally, or physically as well. Looking into our current Board of Education policy, which is in the student section JDDC, our policy itself mirrors Kansas law. So it speaks to that no student, staff, or parent can bully a student or staff member, and that can't be at school, on school property, at an event, in a school vehicle, or activities such as that. This also has provisions for training, educating staff about bullying in general, and that we need to have some community involvement. So at the beginning of the year, our teachers take the online videos over bullying and answer questions, and that is how we address training our teachers every year for bullying. And we all should be including community involvement. Looking at our Board of Education policy specifically, one of the issues I can see is we talk about digital means of bullying, but we really don't talk about cyberbullying specifically. Looking into our vision and mission statement, it's something that I know we've discussed about getting a group together to redo our vision and mission statement. And I think that we definitely need to include something about digital citizenship and being a good digital citizen within that, because it really does not address that right now. We discussed the type of people that we want our students to become, but I think that digital citizenship should also be addressed because it is something they're going to have to deal with in some shape or form. Our current student handbook policy, which every year students get a copy of the handbook, they're supposed to read through them with their seminar teachers, they initial that they read certain sections, and then their parents sign it and turn it back in. I had a student this morning, though, for another policy say, I don't really read that, I just initial it. So I think it's really important that we take a look into our student handbook policies and what is out there for parents and students to look at, because when we are addressing issues, it's important that we're pretty clear about our expectations and the consequences that are going to happen. So our actual handbook policy provides us Senate Bill 68, which is the Kansas law, and then additionally to the Kansas law, which is the same as what's in the Board of Education policy, it bullet points out specific examples of what bullying harassment is. And I really appreciate that about our student policy, because I think the word bully and bullying is overused in today's society, and this is a good way for students and parents to look and understand this is what constitutes bullying. This is how we approach it, and this is how we take care of our students. We also have in there factors and examples of determining consequences to bullying, and then examples of remedial measures. This is something I would like a team and a committee to sit down and look at, and that team could be administrator, staff. I would love to have a parent on there and a student, because this takes up almost 3 pages of our student handbook, and it is very detailed and very specific, which I appreciate that parents and students could read it and understand why we make some of the decisions we do, but I also feel like it could be reworded into a more concise manner that makes a lot more sense to our students and our parents as well. 50% of 4th through 12th graders have reported they have experienced some sort of cyberbullying. Studies show that those that are cyberbullied have a higher predicted rate to be chronically absent, or even just lower grades in general. 9 out of 10 teenagers or adolescents have a smartphone, which means they have almost unlimited access to information, to people, to their peers at a moment's notice. And because of that, bullying can happen at any time and at any place. And it can be something that is done quickly and spread like wildfire, and permanent damage can be done very quickly. Reading through some of the resources I had about bullying, it stated that in the past, if you had a bully or somebody at school that was causing you issues, at least at night, you could go home and be away from them. Or on the weekends, you could get a break from it. But now these students never get a break. It is constant. Anytime their phone pings, anytime they get a Snapchat, it could be another form of bullying. And it is just constant. And I think a lot of us have thought about the issues of having a device so readily available, but, it also opens up these new worlds to adolescents whose brain is not fully matured enough to make the social decisions they need to make. They're doing things and saying things to people, and a lot of them are not aware of the detriment that it is doing to other people when they interact the way that they have been. 33% of students surveyed say false rumors have been spread about them, cyber or digitally. Hate speech has actually increased 70% since the pandemic. Adolescents also have reported mental health issues that have come or stemmed from cyberbullying. 41% of those reported said they have developed anxiety issues, 37% depression, and 26 of them reported that they had had suicidal thoughts in some way, shape, or form. So looking at this data in these studies, I think that it is vital that we address cyberbullying, because it is, again, always there. They never get a break from it. So, and our kids really don't have the mental maturity to make the correct decisions in that type of situation. I don't want to think about what I would have done in high school if I would have had that ability to be so connected all of the time and to also say stuff without having a whole lot of repercussions. So it's something that our district needs to address and start to educate about. So my recommended updates for a board policy, I think that we should insert the definition of cyberbullying. We actually don't have that. Nowhere in our policies does it say cyberbullying. And we are missing the boat on that, because we say this bullying can happen digitally, but it is much, much different. So to be more specific, this Kansas law also has provided a definition of cyberbullying. I think we need to insert this. It means bullying by use of any electronic communication device or means, including but not limited to email, instant messaging, text messaging, blogs, mobile phones, pagers, online games, and websites. I think apps needs to probably be inserted in there, social media. I also, like we discussed with the student handbook, providing examples of bullying and cyberbullying, the bullet points that are included in the Kansas law, I think would be an important thing to include in our board policy, because I think that that is something that parents and community members would like to see as well. I would like that we insert a digital citizenship curriculum provision. I think that we need to make sure, I know that a lot of our teachers have informal discussions or maybe have bits and pieces of units that discuss digital citizenship, but I think we need to take a more intentional approach to it and provide, genuine information to these students and explicitly teach them. And also in our handbook, I think we need a cyberbullying policy, explicitly review it with students. And I think, as I discussed earlier, we need to develop a committee to review consequences and the remedial measures that we have. And not that we need to completely change how we do those things, but how can we word this in a way that's going to reach everybody that we have. Something that I struggle with, and I think all of our teachers and our staff, and I'm sure parents and community members struggle with too, is that, all our policies discuss bullying that happens on campus at activities, but because digital devices are so readily available and I can connect with somebody easily, a lot of that bullying that can happen off campus, not at a school event, it comes to school with them. So how do I address the fact that student A posted something about student B on Facebook last night? It did not happen here. But the repercussions are sure being felt here because I mean, I don't know, weekly, sometimes every other day, we're putting up with those issues. I've had students take pictures of staff members and discuss them outside of school time. And it's just something that I would like to discuss and put a policy in place about maybe off-campus bullying and things that can happen. And it's it's something that I'm not sure how we're going to approach, and that's why I would like to have a committee to do that and to do more research into how do you deal with the bullying, cyberbullying that happens off of campus and not at school activities, that then the emotions and the distress of it comes to campus. Things that may not necessarily have to be a part of our policy, but I think are vital. Number one, training for teachers and administration. It states out of all of the places that have a cyberbullying, there's only 50% of teachers that have reported having formal training. I think it would be really important. And I know that the videos that we watch at the beginning of the year help, and it's good to see those things, and it's good to have a refresher, but I also know how busy teachers are and how often it is easy to click through those, answer the questions because they're pretty much the same from year to year. But if we teach teachers how to recognize symptoms of cyberbullying, whether that's, is there self-harm, is there physical injuries, is there anxiety, aggression, is there a change in attitude, a current drop in grades, and then how do we teach them interventions to provide to students? So did you save evidence? Did you report this? Did you communicate this with somebody? Do we need to reach out to law enforcement? How do you have those discussions to make sure it's appropriate as well? Another thing that could be done, a lot of places have put in their technology usage agreement, because we do have a one-to-one district and they all sign that, there needs to be a cyberbullying clause in the contract. And there's also districts that have the ability, anytime anybody is using a district network, so you're logging on as a guest or you're logging on as a student or on a district device, there is actually a cyber safety app that can be pushed out to anybody who's on the network, that it tracks what they're doing, and not necessarily in, where our filter hits all the time, but if it's really good at discerning actually what is bullying behavior and can make those reports to administration. I, again, think that we need to adopt a curriculum for digital citizenship, and that should be taught explicitly in classrooms, whether it be computer science class or if it's something that we discuss in seminars. I think it's something that needs to be done. We also should take a look into formal documentation over bullying and cyberbullying especially. I think we need to have a formal report because, as it says in the definition of bullying, it's a behavior that's repeated. So if we have a formal report and we're able as a staff to sit down and to make evidence and have documentation of a repeated behavior, then this could show a student or a parent some of the issues that are arising when we're discussing bullying. Some places which I think this would be really interesting to look into, because it is hard for students. They feel like they're ratting out their friends or they're ratting out their people that are in their class, and maybe they think they'll have repercussions from it. But if you have some sort of anonymous reporting system when it comes to bullying in general, that students may take advantage of that and feel like won't have the anxiety of reporting some of these issues as well. And again, educational interventions, when looking at some of the data, it is, and discussing digital citizenship and bullying and information like that, it is shown that whole district interventions and initiatives are more effective, such as rules, sanctions, and teacher training as well. So I think that's important when we're looking at cyberbullying, that we look at it as a district-wide issue and in a community-wide too. And here are my resources. Thank you.